Welcome back. Today we have got another Dutch video. This is explaining the Dutch educational system. I don't know too much about that, like schools, education in Netherlands. So yeah, we'll learn a bit today. I haven't done too many videos on like the education side. So yeah, we're gonna learn. Hopefully learn about it here today. If you got any other videos or you just want to add on top of the information in this video yourself in the comments section, feel free to do so. But yeah, let's get straight into the video and let me know more videos you want to see reactions to.
To have watched the college storytime video I made a couple months ago, you'll probably recall me briefly explaining the Dutch education system and how it differs from the American one. I got a couple comments saying people would be interested in seeing a video explaining this system more thoroughly. So without further ado, here's my take on explaining the Dutch education system. I'll go through the entire system step by step in chronological order, so from kindergarten to university. The very first or pre-phase of education over here is called peuterspeelzaal, which roughly translates to toddler playroom. I know, sounds a bit silly, and is pretty much the Dutch equivalent of nursery school. Children ages 0 to 3 can attend toddler playroom, however it isn't obligated to do so. And once a child turns 4, they'll have to enter the next stage of education. This being basisschool, roughly translated basic school, which I'd say is the Dutch equivalent of elementary school. Here children will learn basic skills such as calculating, writing, reading, grammar, crafts, along with a couple of other basic subjects. Basic school consists of a total of 8 grades. These grades over here are referred to as groups. For example, once you enter basic school, you'll be in group 1. The following year you'll enter group 2, and so on and so forth. One subject we're also taught—
Wow, okay. I like that. Okay, I like how this, what's this, the basis school? I don't need to go all the way back. Yeah, just to get the right name. I like how it's, all divided into these groups for the ages.
Which I'm not sure Americans are. During group
We'll go back.
You'll be in group 1. The following year you'll enter group 2, and so on and so forth. One subject we're also taught, which I'm not sure Americans are, during group 6 and 7 is traffic, where you learn about the basic traffic rules. In the Netherlands, it's pretty common for kids to travel to school by bicycle, seeing how school buses aren't really a thing over here.
One thing I learned is how common it is to ride your bike in Netherlands. It's very, very common to see on the road. So, yeah, as I said, I'll pick up these little things as we go. Okay.
School by bicycle, seeing
and also in general, as she said towards the start, it's like it's kind of obviously people from other countries might watch this, but it's a bit of a comparison to America. Like, yeah, the Netherlands education versus America.
In the Netherlands, it's pretty common for kids to travel to school by bicycle, seeing how school buses aren't really a thing over here. That plus...
Okay, no school buses. See, again, that's why, my perspective is interesting too, for me. Like, at least most schools, like, you didn't have a specific school bus. Not to my knowledge. I never experienced it, and I don't think anyone I went to school with went to school. There's not like a specific school bus. If you need to go on a bus, you might go on a bus, but I don't think that was the case.
Traffic
from my
rules.
Memory.
In the Netherlands, it's pretty common for kids to travel to school by bicycle, seeing how school buses aren't really a thing over here. That plus the villages often are only 15 to 30 minutes of cycling away due to the Netherlands' small size. So you can imagine what would happen if children were to just cycle along the road, oblivious to all traffic.
That's dangerous.
Near the end of group 7, everyone is obligated to take a cycling exam, where you have to cycle a certain route through town while paying attention to all kinds of traffic boards. Once you pass the exam, you receive your long-awaited cycling diploma, and immediately shrug off all rules you ever learned. High school students. Besides that, you're also obligated to take the CITO test near the end of Group 8. The result of this particular test, along with your overall performance during basic school, will determine what level of secondary education you'll be following. By this point, you'll be 12 years old. So this is where things might get a bit complicated.
So this is not towards Netherlands specifically. It's like school in general. I've thought so much about, it's like crazy. It's like how well you do before you're an adult, education-wise, can dictate what you do in your life. And that's crazy because I've learnt so much in my adult life, compared to how I was in school, primary school, high school. In Australia, we're kind of similar system, and what we call our different levels, like primary school and high school. Like primary is like, from England, the same. Not like America got elementary and we don't have middle school, just, primary and high school. But that's always been crazy to me. But I mean, how else is it going to work? But there's almost like pressure on you when you're a child and in your teenage years, and it dictates how you can live your life, which is crazy.
Basic school will determine what level of secondary education you'll be following.
See?
By this point, you'll be 12 years old. So this is where things might get a bit complicated. At age 12, you'll enter voortgezet onderwijs, roughly translated continued education, which is the Dutch equivalent to American middle and high school. The thing about continued education is that there's different difficulties of high school to choose from after leaving basic school. This is
I tell you what, that's a lot of different options there. Like I said, at a young age, there's a lot of pressure.
This is where the CITO test comes into play. Depending on the advice you were given in Group 8, you have several options. VWO, which is a rough acronym for Preparing Scientific Education. This is the highest possible
Again, I don't know why this is giving me throwbacks to school. I don't want to be pausing it too much, but I'm just giving my perspective. Like right there, I remember being recommended by something to do in school. We had like 2 different levels. It's like there's a higher level and then a bit of a lower level, and like a teacher or multiple teachers, I'm not sure, you know how you have meetings with your teachers or whatever, and they recommended me to do the lower level, and I'm like if that happened, that's what I mean. I didn't expect to be going this deep when I clicked on this video. It's like if I was told that as an adult, it was like I would not have done that. I'm like just recalculating my life decisions before I could really decide them for myself. But I'm like, now, like, I would have been, have faith in, what I really wanted to do. I'm just, wow.
Difficulty of continued education you can possibly follow, and will take a total of 6 years to complete. VWO prepares its students for WO, which is similar to American University and thus contains the largest amount of theory matter in terms of subjects. HAVO, a rough acronym for Higher General Continued Education.
Okay.
This is the second to highest possible difficulty you can follow and will take 5 years to complete. Whereas VWO often deeply delves into particular subject matter, HAVO tends to cover the more general side of things, plus VWO also tends to have stricter grading methods compared to HAVO. When attending this difficulty, you'll be prepared for something called HBO, the Dutch equivalent of American college.
Ooh.
MAVO, roughly translated Secondary General Continued Education. MAVO will take you 4 years to complete and prepares you for MBO. In terms of difficulty, there's quite a gap between MAVO and HAVO, or at least that's what I've heard. VMBO, which is a rough acronym for Preparing Secondary Job Education, which comes in 4 different routes. Each of these routes takes 4 years to complete. These include VMBO-TL, the TL standing for Theoretic Education, which actually is just a different name for MAVO. However, due to the negative connotation VMBO tends to have over here, due to it being the lowest level of secondary education, they decided to change its name to MAVO. VMBO-GL, the GL standing for Mixed Education, which is pretty much equal to MAVO, except GL adds a job-specific subject, making GL a mix between practical and theoretic subjects. VMBO KB, KB standing for Job Framework, which mainly focuses on practical subjects rather than theory-based ones. Students here learn skills by doing rather than studying. VMBO BB, BB standing for Job Basics, which is pretty similar to KB, except the amount of study load is a lot less. Both KB and BB are there to prepare students for handicraft and other sorts of craftsmanship. Practical education, students who are unable to obtain a VMBO diploma but still wish to enter the job market can be enrolled in practical education. Last but not least, there's also a route called LWOO, which acronym roughly translates to Assisted Learning Education. This route is meant for VMBO students who either struggle a lot with basic subjects like calculation, grammar, reading comprehension, etc., or have severe social emotional problems.
See, I like this. Like, there's a lot of variety. What I was talking about, my own experience, there was basically two sides. Really, it was your standard study. You'll go from year 7 to year 12, but it was more so in the last couple years. Where you make that decision if you keep going on that, or then you do something. And I was like, these few, some of them there, it was like one day of the week you would have like work experience. It's like preparing yourself to get a job basically in the real world, opposed to when you finish high school then going on to university. It's like that's your probably what's going to be the best option for you, which what I said about the teachers recommending, that's all they can do. They can do their job and see what they think will be best for you at that current point in time. But anyway, the point there is like there seems to be a lot more variety for what you do here. What you sign up for at school, I guess. As I said, from my experience, it was kind of two. There was one or the other. You keep going with focus on the study, the education, or then having that more preparing yourself for the job. Getting into the real world, working. And the work, the work you do in classes was a lot easier.
Right, so that's all of them, I think. There probably are some more exceptions that I glanced over, but these ones mentioned are the major ones. I could go into detail how each route works, but I'd rather keep this video under 2 hours, so...
It's that detailed.
Anyway, once you've completed any of the previously mentioned routes, you most likely will enter a certain difficulty of college. This difficulty will, of course, be dependent on what difficulty you completed high school at. We'll start with MBO. As I mentioned earlier, MBO is a type of college you can attend after you've completed MAVO. MBO is categorized in 4 levels. MBO Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, and Level 4, and takes a total of 3 or 4 years to complete. With each level, the amount of independent work activity increases, meaning at Level 1 you're an assistant, while at Level 4 you're capable of performing specialized tasks. The minimum requirement to enter Levels 2 to 4 is that you either have a VMBO or MAVO diploma. You're only capable of progressing to the next tier of college-like education if you complete MBO Level 4. From here you have the option to progress to HBO or enter the job market with an MBO Level 4 diploma, which is somewhat equivalent to an American associate's degree. HBO can roughly be translated to Higher Job Education, which is the follow-up to HAVO and takes 4 years to complete. Though of course, graduated HAVO students also have the option to choose MBO if they wish so for. HBO together with WO form the university section of education in the Netherlands. The main difference between the two though is that HBO focuses more on understanding how things happen and applying acquired knowledge with more supervision.
And I tell you what, there's a lot. I suppose because of all these different levels here, it's going to have really specific descriptions. But okay. Ooh, you got to pay attention.
how things happen and applying acquired knowledge with more supervision,
There's a
while
lot.
WO is more focused on why things happen and is more research orientated with less supervision. Though in reality, the amount of supervision within HBO is also pretty much non-existent. Watch my college video. Once students complete an HBO course, they'll earn an HBO bachelor degree. Afterwards, they can choose to enter the work field or continue studying for an HBO master degree. As I
Okay.
mentioned, WO in contrast to HBO is more focused on the research aspect of subjects. WO can be roughly translated to scientific education and is the follow-up to VWO. Though of course VWO students can also enter HBO or MBO courses. After approximately 4 years, students will be rewarded with a WO bachelor degree. Afterwards, they have the option to enter the job field or continue studying for a master's degree, which the majority, as far to my knowledge, tends to do. Alright, so that's pretty
Wow.
much it for the Dutch education system. There's quite a lot
Wait, you mean there's not more? You mean that was it? No, that's just sarcastic. Yeah, that was very detailed. That's for
of
sure.
details regarding grading
Okay.
and law-related stuff I left out, but these are pretty much the basic explanations of each
I like it.
department.
Okay.
Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in my next video. Bye!
Yeah. The structure of this, the Dutch educational system, the structure of it is set up really, really well. And as I said, from my experience, it seems it's very specific, and even not being from America, I feel like, but being somewhat knowledgeable, of course, just your general knowledge when you're watching movies and TV shows about how school works in America, it seems like there is more options. Which, as I said, that can really suit students better. As I said, from my experience, there was a couple of options. One or the other is you continue the study that everyone else is doing. Learning what everyone else is learning, tests, all that kind of stuff, or you have more of a preparing to be in the workforce. But yeah, it seems like, well, not it seems, there is multiple ones here. But okay. All right, we're just gonna head into outro, but okay, yeah, all right, it's really interesting. Again, I suppose I've had my personal feelings as well about education, and I think education is really important, and especially as you get older, you can always learn things, and even on your own. I suppose that's where what I've had strong feelings about, because I feel like I've learnt the most important things in my life in my adult years. And yeah, what's important. But when you're studying have these certain jobs, you need to follow the right paths, and you need to make sure, because there's a lot of important jobs. I could be here forever talking about them all, but there's a lot of paths you can take in this life, that is for sure. So it is interesting to see the Netherlands, the Dutch perspective of that, and how that plays out if you're living in the Netherlands. But I don't know if any of you feel similar to me, and maybe that's why you find me now on YouTube doing videos, doing something a bit different. But that's what I always found myself, even before when I was in school, before this was a thing. I always, I wanted to gravitate to something a bit more on the creative side, instead of just doing maths, and especially once letters got introduced to maths. But it's an interesting one. I'm going to leave it there though, because I think it's a subject, ironically, school. That I can talk about a lot because of my experience. But it's really good to see the Netherlands and the Dutch educational system. And let me know your experiences in the comment section. And is there any other videos, or they could also potentially trigger me to have the same feelings? And I was like, it's all based on how well you do when you're a child or teenager. What you do in your adult life, but not if you really want to make changes. That's for sure. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I'll see you in another video.